Hello, everybody, and welcome to Qubit Confidential. This is a new podcast that takes a behind-the-scenes look at the quantum world. I get to speak with experts regarding how quantum technologies are reshaping everything from computing to cryptography and beyond. My guest today is Dr. Saif Al Kuwari. He's Associate Professor at Hamad bin Khalifa University and the Director of the Qatar Center for Quantum Computing, QCT. So welcome, Saif, and thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for having me.
Delighted to be speaking with you.
Yeah.
Let's start at the beginning, is what I always say. So let's take a moment, and I'd ask you to please introduce yourself to our audience, and ideally tell us, how did you come to be interested in quantum information science?
Well, it's an interesting story because I originally do not come from a quantum background. So my degrees are on engineering, computer science, a little bit of mathematics, but definitely not quantum computing. So I heard about quantum computing during my PhD. That was like in 2010, and back then there was very little in the general media to learn a form about quantum computing. So I thought maybe I'll learn about it after my PhD. And then it took me a few years to remember that I had decided to do that. So after my PhD, I went back home, and then I worked for the government for a few years. It was an interesting experience, but it was not academic. It was mostly in the business side of things. After a few years, I decided I should make the move back to academia, and then I spent like 6 months to almost a year just wondering what had happened during the past 7-8 years, and many things happened. So I come originally from cryptography background, so this is the first thing I started looking at. But then I haven't seen a lot of changes since I left it back in my PhD. Then I started looking at different directions, and this is where I met quantum computing. Very quickly, I became very interested in quantum computing. I knew that, from day one, I knew that this is going to be the future, and I must do something about it. Unfortunately, it was not. It was very quiet. So we're talking 2018, 2019. That was just about the time Google announced their quantum supremacy. So of course I was lucky because
Right.
this is the time that I started becoming interested in quantum computing, and many people did also became interested in quantum computing. So I started looking at opportunities for collaborations within the academic community. Fortunately, I was not very successful. Most people were established and with their own research. But then I thought, okay, for this to happen, it really needs to be backed up by the government. And then I just completely shift focused to the government, and surprisingly, I was more successful with them. And again, it took me a few months, but they became interested in investing in quantum computing. So they know that this is like a technology of the future, but in order to have a competitive advantage in the future, we need to start now. And the rest is history. We just I just got support from them with the grant, and then went back to the university and started this whole initiative.
Well, we're seeing a lot of government support all over the world, right? So what year was that? I have to ask, like when you decided that going to the government looking for support would be a viable option.
So this is when I gave up on the academic community.
Okay, although you're a professor now, but I'm just curious of your time frame. As you say, 2018 was kind of a seminal moment, a tipping point. The quantum supremacy blew everybody's mind. But
I mean, the problem is that we have a smaller academic community, and we have very specific research areas, like AI, IoT, cloud, these usual things, and
right.
to convince somebody to kind of depart from their area and explore a completely new area. And back then we're still not sure is it going to have a practical impact or not. It was not very, very successful. I even remember that I applied for a grant and it was not awarded, and not surprisingly, because the themes back then were not on the quantum. They were mostly looking at immediate impact. And to be honest, the quantum, even now, it's not going to happen next year or even the following year. So we need to be more long term.
Yeah. Well, so go to the government again, smart move. But now you're a professor again, so you're back in academia, right? And just wondering, in your current role at a leading university in Qatar, how are you driving awareness and adoption of quantum technologies in the region based on where you're sitting now, based on your current role?
Yeah, so yeah, definitely. So the agreement I had with the government is for this initiative not to be purely academic. So the ultimate vision is to create an ecosystem, a quantum ecosystem. So I work with industry as much as with research, and coming back from coming from an industry background. So I worked in the industry for some time. I kind of have some skills that would allow me to nurture this, and this is why I work very very closely with industry, and I try to bring bridge the gap between research and industry, and we keep signing MOUs with potential companies to invite them and encourage them to come to the country and explore what potential that region has to offer. At the same time, I started an academic initiative within the university to start raising awareness about quantum computing. So I started teaching quantum computing as an elective course. The first time I taught the course, I got like 5 students, but then that was enough for them to get the bait. And then they became very quickly they became very interested. They started spreading the word. Next time I offered the course, I got like 15, and then now I always get like 20 students and so on. And now people are becoming even more interested, and they kept telling me, okay, so we took the quantum computing course. What's next? Can we do a more specialized quantum computing course, like an advanced quantum computing course? This is why this year I started teaching quantum machine learning. This is like the next generation of the extension of my quantum course, and this will continue to happen. And this will, of course, hopefully, spread over the community. And we are very lucky in Qatar because it's a small country, small community. So once somebody becomes interested, everyone around them become interested, and then everyone around those people become interested.
Yeah. So I want to talk about QML in a minute, but I wanted, again, just to expand on this idea around fostering an environment of collaboration between sort of 3 meta players, if you will, academia, industry, and government. And how is that going? It sounds like you're gaining traction. Government is supportive. Are there industry players that are getting engaged? How's that sort of 3-way interaction evolving in Qatar?
Yeah, so the whole initiative started with the government. So we got the backup of the government. They support us on this. And once that happened, the people I used to speak to before the support of the government started to become more interested to learn. So if I approach stakeholders, finance, healthcare, whatever, before the grant, they were not really sure if this is, going to hold any potential in the future. But then when they heard that the government is investing in it, they at least became curious to know, what is it, what could happen, what kind of problems that these technologies can solve for them. So stakeholders became more curious, and if we have the support of the government and the stakeholders, it is not very difficult to convince the industry to come and explore business opportunities. And if the stakeholders are really interested, I think they will make it happen. There will be synergies between the industry and the stakeholders, and then we have the government and academia on the other side, and that's that's the ecosystem that we're looking for.
Yeah, no, that's great, and that makes sense. That the viable industries where this might be applicable are engaged. You're being aware of the potential benefit. Let's shift gears and talk for a minute about post-quantum cryptography. I know that's an area where you have expertise, quantum machine learning. And certainly there's a big focus now. Now the NIST has released their 3 approved quantum safe algorithms. People focus on the threat of harvest now, decrypt later, where cryptographically relevant quantum computers can crack current RSA and ECC encryption at some point. Can you talk about quantum projects in these areas that are underway in Qatar? You can share with us?
Yeah, sure. So the center has been active for exactly a year from now. since last year, in November, this is where we activated the center. And since then, we have been working on different projects. So mainly we have, three groups. So quantum computing, quantum sensing, quantum communication. In the quantum communication group and the quantum sensing group, we're doing both theoretical and experimental. So we're actually, building sensors and, quantum, quantum communication testbed and so on. So last year, actually not, so it started, last year, but very, recently we got support from one of the, major telecom companies in the country, Ooredoo. They were interested to explore, what quantum cryptography, QKD basically,
Right.
can do. Is it real? Is it just hype? So we had the kind of a deal for them. So we'll do the demonstration. They just need to support us with the infrastructure. So we were one of the major projects that we are working on right now is to build a quantum key distribution testbed. We're building it in the lab, but it is not the same if we use an actual production level dark fiber. Things are very different when you move your experiment to an actual production environment. So the deal with them was, support us with the dark fiber, and then we'll build the QKD link, and then it becomes, the first QKD link in the country. And that was their support. So they supported us with the infrastructure. The meeting, the project was, kicked off a few weeks ago. It was announced. It was even in the news, and hopefully within the coming few months, we'll be demonstrating the first QKD testbed in the country. And then I think if this happens, many stakeholders will become very interested to see, because now it's not a headline in a piece of news. It's an actual reality that we have here in the country. And that's, of course, will mean that for the telecom that it might potentially be a new line of business. And in terms of quantum machine learning, again, this is one of the areas that's very close to my heart. So I have to say, and you probably know, there are speculations about quantum machine learning. So some people, there are some people are very optimistic, some people are very pessimistic. So there are always the ongoing debate whether quantum will eventually help or improve quantum machine learning. So our perspective, we try to side on the optimistic side of things, and but we're trying to take it outside computing. So most of our projects in quantum machine learning, so we're trying to build quantum machine learning, train the models and so on, but let's see if we can use it to solve some problems with QKD, for example, not necessarily quantum computing, or maybe with the quantum sensing. So if we build a quantum imaging system, can we improve the accuracy of the measurements using post-processing with the quantum machine learning? This is something we are interested to learn. So of course, at the same time, we are working on the fundamental research in quantum machine learning to explore in different areas where the quantum machine learning can be turned into a practical solution, and at the same time solving some of the major problems like parent 2 and other things. But we are more interested in exploring the application outside computing.
Yeah. So Saif, are you at liberty to say who you're partnering with on the QKD testbed, or no? I don't want to violate client confidentiality, but listeners are curious about partnerships and.
So this is a partnership with the telecom, Ooredoo. So the telecom name is Ooredoo, and it's public. It's in the news. We just kicked off the meeting and the project, and it will happen over the coming few months.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
And we'll be announcing it.
We'll be announcing it. Okay, cool. So maybe when we publish this, we'll put a link to the press release or additional information in the comments.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to ask you about regulatory or cultural challenges. I would bet they're unique. They're unique in every country, obviously, but thinking if you could share with us, what kind of regulatory or cultural challenges you face in developing quantum technologies in Qatar, say, compared to other countries. What did you experience?
So yeah, I don't see there are unique regulation challenges to quantum technologies. It's just the usual innovation processes that you need to go through. Like adopting a new technology, you need to promote it and so on. The problem might be with culture, because culturally, especially with businesses, they are not motivated to experiment with the new technologies unless they see a very very close return of investment. So
Right.
if you approach I don't know, a company or service provider, and then tell them that you should invest in quantum, but then you will only get to return on investment in 5 years. You need to have very convincing arguments, to get their support.
Yeah.
But of course, there are other things that can help. The backing of the government. I'm taking examples of what's happening outside the region, in other countries, and the other companies, similar companies, the same sectors outside the country, or took the steps that will motivate them. And it's happening. So this is, we have a practical example. So we have the telecom. Just a couple of years ago, they had absolutely no intention of doing any supporting any quantum related projects. But then,
Okay.
when they heard about the existing test beds and what's happening in quantum, they thought, why not? Let's experiment with it, and it might potentially open a completely new line of business. And I believe it will.
Yeah. Again, I want to go back to the QKD and PQC topic just for a moment, because again, governments are focused on it. If anyone's paranoid about it or apprehensive about it, I would think it's governments protecting all kinds of proprietary data, and not the least of which are military secrets, perhaps, or citizen data. Is Qatar, focused on this, and do they have an engagement perhaps with a partner, supplier, vendor to address this? And again, I don't want to share anything proprietary, but just give our viewers a sense of how they're approaching it, what their perspective is on it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely, this is much actually, let's put it this way. Quantum cryptography and quantum communication is the main motive for the government to to fund this initiative. It's just we decided that to not to make it exclusive in quantum communication and cryptography, but let's explore other areas like sensing and computing. And the fact that they realize the importance of this quantum threat is what made them invest in this in this initiative in the first place. So definitely, they are looking at it very seriously, and they are expecting to see some outcomes even from this initiative that would serve would serve this quantum method. Well, would serve having finding solutions to this quantum method.
Yeah. So I want to turn to a topic that's near and dear to my heart, which is workforce and talent, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the common wisdom is we need people, smart, talented people, to drive quantum initiatives in order for this to be successful, right? So that's
Yeah.
sort of the bottom line. And I want to get your sense of, how Qatar is building a talent pipeline for quantum. And I'm always curious to know about not only technical expertise required, but
Yeah.
people with skills and experience in various disciplines, say, required to run a successful business.
Yeah.
So how does that go? You're at a university, so I would guess that's a great source of talent, certainly for the technical kinds of needs, for the test bed, or for any other focus areas around quantum technologies.
Yeah, I mean, there's a huge, like a kind of innovation movement over the country. So now everything, when you talk business, it's you will hear innovation everywhere, and we have. We have a lot of entities that are encouraging and even supporting, even financially supporting, smaller startups, and encourage people to come up with ideas. And if they see these ideas are promising, they may get funding and incubation and in the future and so on. Even in the universities, so the universities' main role is to do education. I think a couple of years ago, we established a center called, the Innovation Center. So the Innovation Center is basically, it's not an academic center. It is about encouraging the students to, take the next step with their idea. So if somebody comes up with an idea that can potentially lead to a commercial product, they can go to that center, and then they will train them. They will give them, support them financially, support them, in terms of education, and even match them with potential supporters and potential investors, and then they will make their project. They will turn their project into reality. So innovation is very is very well established in the country by now. Of course, not surprisingly, most of the investment goes to AI, because this is what's making the noise these days. But quantum, but the quantum is started to attract their attention, because people were thinking, we became interested in AI just after the ChatGPT moment, but then this is already too late. So at the same time, we have interesting. Keep telling them, we have quantum computing, which we still did not see the ChatGPT moment. So let's not wait for another ChatGPT moment in a quantum and then invest there. And this argument seems to be working. So people are becoming even interested to look at the quantum and invest in it. Even at this stage, even before seeing an actual outcome like the ChatGPT moment.
Now, that's great insight. Yeah, using the ChatGPT moment as a trigger, like let's not let that happen to us with quantum. I love that. That's a great thing. So, Saif, I always like to, toward the end of the podcast, ask my guests to kind of look into the crystal ball, wax philosophic, if you will, and look ahead. Give our viewers a sense of, what your goals are for quantum technology development and applications in Qatar, maybe over the next decade and beyond. Like, how will it drive maybe certainly business models and the economy, but maybe culture and society as well? What's your take?
Yeah. So definitely, the ultimate goal, as I said, is to create, foster a healthy ecosystem, a quantum ecosystem, where we have, academia. So now it's just HBQ is doing, quantum computing research and education. So in the future, I envision that other universities will also start, investing and adopting quantum education. And the government will also do the same. So now they made this initial investment. In the future, hopefully, when we start showing some tangible outcome, they will become even more interested to invest. And if they do that, they will encourage stakeholders to take the same step. And if the stakeholders became interested, more business opportunities will be created. And if more business opportunities are created, that will create a culture of opportunities for industry to come. And if industry come, then that's it. This is what what we need. And then when the industry comes, they will need talent. And then if the university are supplying the talent, then they will close the loop. So my vision is to have this kind of loop where different sectors work on a quantum aspect, but then together they complement each other.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that insight. So I want to close by saying that we're excited to have you hosting the inaugural Quantum Tech Qatar Conference, which is going to be taking place in Doha, January 13th through 15th, next year, 2025. Can you tell me why the Quantum Tech Qatar Conference is important to quantum development in the region?
So hosting a quantum tech, to me, I think it's a milestone. It's I think it is going to be the birth of, the building stone of our ecosystem, because over the past few years, basically what I have been doing, I was, working very hard at trying to start a dialogue between the stakeholders and, industry. But doing this individually and in an ad hoc manner is not very sustainable, and it's very difficult to speak to some stakeholder and then then arrange a meeting with another company and then let them speak to each other and then follow up with them. And if you do this for every single stakeholder, then you cannot do another thing. You cannot teach. You can't do research. You can't do anything else. But quantum tech is a huge quantum community. So if they come to the region with the community that they have been building over the years, And then at the same time, and this is what I'll be doing, we will invite all the stakeholders to come and meet this community, start discussions and a dialogue between all the stakeholders and the industry and in one room. I think that's years of efforts done in 2 days. And I really believe there will be a lot of business opportunities coming out from this meeting. All we need is just we need the community to tell the stakeholders that this is real. We have initial promising results, and this should always come from industry, not from academia. In academia it's mostly research, so they will not take us as seriously as a company that has done an actual use case and obtained some results.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you for sharing that perspective. Looking forward to the event. I want to thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your insight into the innovative quantum projects that are underway in Qatar and in the region. Thanks very much.
Well, thank you, Chris.
Thank you for watching. I invite listeners to follow Dr. Al Kuwari on LinkedIn to stay informed of the latest innovative applications of quantum technologies in Qatar and the region. Please share this podcast on your social channels to increase the impact of my conversation with Dr. Al Kuwari. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode of Qubit Confidential. Please follow Quantum Tech on X, formerly Twitter, and on LinkedIn. And again, I invite you all to join us at Quantum Tech Qatar, January 13th through 15th in Doha. You can learn more about the event and get tickets on the Alpha Events website. Also, market calendars for Quantum Tech USA, which returns to Washington, D.C. on April 14th through 16th, 2025. Thank you all for watching.